My name's Quis, like a key in the door, but I don't spell it that way because I'm fancy. And I'm Puerto Rican. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and now I live here in West Philly. When I first moved to Philly, I wasn't done with school. I found out that I wasn't going to graduate on time. And it was also not safe for me to go back home. So I didn't have a place to live. I just packed all my shit, put it in storage, and I just showed up here. And so I was like homeless for a bit. And so I just kind of like hopped around, and I had queers open up their houses to me and like let me stay there and let me meet their communities by being in their homes, doing art projects together, things like that. And that's how I actually got to know the community. And so it was like then that I knew that I was like, okay, once I get myself together, I'm gonna make sure that I open my home to people too. And so that's something that's really important to me, is like having people over my space, you know, feeding them, you know, giving them a place to just like talk about their issues, you know, the things that they have to deal with in the outside world, just making safe spaces. And that's really, I feel like, a part of my healing work too. It's like, you know, healers would bring people into their homes, give them tea, food, whatever, let them like tell what their ills are and offer healing. And I feel like that, you know, just opening my home, because I didn't always have a home, and I didn't always have a home that was safe. You know, because like I have a different story, right, from being trans. Like I grew up a little girl, and I grew up a little tomboy, and I grew up in a house that tried to beat that out of me. And when I transitioned, I was around gay men, and that was like and I was like let into the boys club, but yet also like, but you're different than us because you don't have the same stories that we do. You know, so then I got to this place where I was like trying to like be like other people, because that's what I saw that it looked like. This is what I saw what it meant to be gay and Latino, or gay and black and gay, and you know, and I just, and being a man and being gay, and I was like, this feels weird, I'm trying so hard. And then I also had to deal with my internalized homophobia, and that like I wasn't less of a man because I was comfortable with my femininity, and that I wasn't less of a man because I fucked other men. You know, like it was, and that like I wasn't less of a man because my body looked different than other men's, you know, and I think that was really huge for me. And so for me, I know when I first started practicing yoga, I was so broken. I had this horrible breakup, so I was so dependent on this other person. I didn't even have my own shoes when I broke up with this person. Like, I just remember that fact. Like, I'm moving out, I was like, I don't even have shoes to wear out this house as I pack my boxes. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. When I started practicing yoga, it was this opportunity where I finally had to be in my body, and as a trans person, that was really, really intense, because I always, you know, there was this narrative that you should be ashamed of your body, you should be ashamed of like your story, you should just like try to blend in like everybody else. And so to be in my body, to be present, was so important. And when I did, and that changed my perspective. It literally changed my life in this way that like people are like, oh yeah, I found yoga, but it was like, no, like it like made my spirit stronger. It like made me be able to like be more resilient. It was a very deeply personal thing, and it felt political only because my person was political, because I'm brown and queer and trans. Like there's nothing, like I couldn't even not be political if I wanted to, you know. And so learning to be more comfortable with myself, I learned not to be afraid of other people. There's this idea of being two-spirit that is in a lot of indigenous cultures that I really think is part of my identity as a healer, of like having these two very different experiences, these two different walks of life, and holding them close to one another and using that to like find a path. And I think that, and so that is that, like, you know, the people who do the fucked up things still deserve love right next to the people who like do the great things, you know? And so it's a part of my Latinidad, it's a part of my queerness in a way that, like, you know, other people don't really get, and that's fine. It's okay to be afraid, and it's also not necessary. You know, that everybody looks different, every man looks different, every queer person looks different, every Latino looks different, and that's okay, and that doesn't mean that you're any more or less of anything. You know, it's okay. You're gonna have a process. You're not gonna figure it out once in a while. Like, it doesn't have to be this and this. And once I finally learned that that was a process, like, I felt so much more free. For sure.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. How you feeling?
Good.